Welcome to season 6 of Ask a Matchmaker. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm your host, Matchmaker Maria, and I want to remind you that this podcast is for everyone. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or somewhere in between, you'll always find no-nonsense insights here into dating, relationships, compatibility, and love in modern times. And remember, dating is a privilege. If you found your person, that's wonderful. But if you are single, which I know is a big part of this community, this space is especially for you. My goal is to give you the tools, the insights, and yes, sometimes the tough love you need to navigate dating with clarity and confidence. And if you haven't already, my book, Ask a Matchmaker, is out now. It's your guide to finding love without the nonsense, and I'd love for you to pick up a copy. You can also head to matchmakermaria.com to submit your dating questions or to join the Roundtable, my community for singles who are ready to date with intention. There's a special promo code waiting for you in the show notes. This season, we're going back to what so many of you love. I'll be joined by incredible guests on most episodes, and of course, our hotline isn't going anywhere. You'll still hear your voices, your questions, your stories, because at the heart of this podcast, it's always about you. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker podcast. So on this episode, I'm joined by my colleague, fellow matchmaker, Radha Patel. Radha is a Dallas-based matchmaker and founder of Single to Shadi. She helps South Asians navigate modern dating while honoring cultural roots. Radha, welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker podcast.
Thank you, Maria. I am so excited to be here.
So you and I know each other very, very well.
Yes.
Because not only are we in the same industry, we tend to work with a lot of similar people. And those people understand perhaps better than most of the general population what matchmaking is.
Absolutely.
They just have different words for it sometimes,
Yeah.
like biodata, which we'll get into in a second. But before we get there, I want to get some background on you. How did you get started in matchmaking?
So I've just been very much connected in the community. I've always grown up, an Indian kid in the white neighborhood or the white school. So as soon as I found community, I was a part of it. I was on the dance teams, Indian sorority, just any organization I could. Being a networker, which I think you have to be a matchmaker, it just came naturally. People would approach me and ask if I knew singles. I was married, I had kids, I didn't really have a lot of single friends, but clearly this kept coming up. And even like the uncle and auntie generation would ask me if I knew somebody that was single to help hook up one of their friends' kids or something. So I thought there's got to be something here. There's a gap in the market.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to jump in and start my own business.
Where were you raised?
I was raised in the East Coast in Maryland, and a very traditional immigrant family. They came over. We had businesses, hardworking folk, and they just wanted me to put my head down, become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And here I am, not doing any of those.
How long have you been matchmaking for?
About 8 years. And back when I was a baby matchmaker, you helped and inspired me and just putting me in the right direction. So I really am thankful for all your guidance, Matchmaker Maria.
I appreciate that. When you just said 8 years, my eyes widened a little bit because I can't believe I've known you for 8 years.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you started out, you had an idea. I don't think your website had even launched yet.
I wasn't even charging. It was just something I was doing on the side.
I think I now remember our Zoom call or something. I was like, you need to charge money. This is not a hobby. What kind of clients come to you? Before we get there, your company is called Single to Shadi. Explain what Shadi means.
Shadi means wedding or marriage. And so it was alliterative.
In what?
In Hindi and a lot of the Indian languages, It means wedding or marriage is interchangeable. It was alliterative, but it also kind of expressed the goal. I think, as you mentioned, with our clientele, they are looking for a long-term relationship or marriage. Mm-hmm. And so it just encapsulates the journey from being single to where they want to be.
I love that there's already like the cultural pull with the name in the company.
Yeah.
So what kind of clients do you usually meet? Is it then the actual single people or is it their parents? Because I've been on your website and there's like a single sign up here, parents check in here.
Yeah. Our tagline is not your parents' matchmaker, but like you said, the number one people that will send emails or ask us questions are parents.
So your community.
From our community.
Yeah.
So I have that separate section that they think that they're filling out the form and getting their kids signed up, but we actually only work with the singles directly because motivations are different. Sometimes they have boyfriends and girlfriends they haven't told their parents.
Right.
Sometimes they're just not looking. They're not in that space where their family thinks, oh my gosh, she's going to be 30. She needs to get married. So there's always different motivations. We want to make sure that we're addressing the parents and their anxieties, but also really servicing our single clients.
And your format of how you match is very different than how I work as a matchmaker. Explain to me the difference because, even the parent thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever had a South Asian parent reach out to me except for this one time. I think I called you when it happened because I was so bewildered by it. But it was one of the, I can't say the name, but one of the richest families in the entire world reached out to us. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're going to hire you to match our daughter. And I was like, okay, here's the criteria. And I'm like, okay. And then I say to them, well, this is how much it's going to cost. And for what they were asking, I was like, this is $250,000.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have to move to London for 2 weeks, go to Dubai for 2 weeks. In Dubai, you can't really exactly date openly, openly, like naturally in that way of how I have to network, I can't just go up to a woman and be like, are you single? I would have to go to Mumbai. Like there was all these things. So I'm like, oh, this is the highest contract I'll ever do. And he said, oh, I'll pay you that when she gets married. And I'm like, oh, that's not, forget it. And then I remember calling and be like, you're never going to believe who just reached out to me. But explain to me the difference between what Single to Shadi does and let's say what a more traditional matchmaking service like a professional service that might work in the States.
Yeah,
operate.
So I call us a singles platform. So we can help you in any stage of your journey. If you want matchmaking support, it's really from our database. It's for, we work with everyone, every background, every socioeconomic status, things like that. I think that if somebody has a timeline or strict criteria, then they do need to work with an established matchmaker such as yourself, where you're going to put the resources behind finding exactly what they're looking for, and then also be at that kind of upscale level of service, time. For us, we're more of that community-driven atmosphere where, we'll take time to focus on events and maybe not matchmake for a couple of weeks because we would rather bring the community together in that aspect. So we have ways for people to meet and give you support on the back end. But if you want that dedicated focus, somebody like yourself and Agape Match would be exactly where we send and we do. We send people there all the time when we feel like they need that extra level of support.
I appreciate you saying that distinction. I find what you do to be so much closer to, I think, what, maybe your aunties or what my grandmother did, because that is what a matchmaker is supposed to do, is that community outreach.
Yeah.
I think what I have to do as a matchmaker is kind of focus on building the community, and then you get to gain access to it through that personal touch. I think what you're doing is what I think people are asking online dating apps to do, which is, I really want to be in a network of people that have been vetted by another human being, mm-hmm. where the barrier to entry wasn't just, verify with your LinkedIn profile. Like you meet most of the people in your database.
Everybody in the database, I meet with them, correct.
And then you can, if I were single, I can scroll through that database. I have access to that?
No. That's where the matchmaking element comes in. We will send you people we think that would be a good fit. But I think, again, the distinction is, we're not going to go out and necessarily find, you give me your criteria, I'm going to go find that for you.
Right.
It's more so you have access to us.
Passive.
Exactly. If we find somebody for you, you're ready to go, you can meet them. But that's why if they're looking for something that's a little bit more, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, I'm on a strict timeline, they need dedicated support that you provide.
Right. And then do you only, you're a matchmaker for South Asian singles. What does the South Asian single community, what's that makeup of that?
So mostly Indian. That's what everybody's kind of interchangeably uses that term. But we also work with Pakistani, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshi, anybody who identifies as coming from that region, having roots there, West Indians, so from the Caribbean as well. Indians, there's a huge... We're international. Any corner of the earth you go, you're going to find brown people. And so if they've been there for a couple of generations, they don't necessarily identify as coming straight as an immigrant from India.
Right.
But they still have those roots or that background, that language, that shared food. And so that's what we kind of make sure that we're helping to incorporate in the matching process.
Do you ever match on caste, subcaste, community, religion?
Community, religion, yes, but caste, not at all. Astrology, not at all. I know.
Yeah,
it's important for some people, and I think that's where uber traditional comes in, and there's lots of ways that you can do that on your own or through other matchmakers. But we blend that, Western value, Western mindset. I really prioritize dating and not just jumping into marriage, even though it's in the name. You've got to date. You have to get to know the person.
Yeah, I think the moment you said not your mother's matchmaker, I feel like that's accurate, because I remember going to India for a matchmaking conference. I was speaking at something, and they match on caste, subcaste, community. Where like there was like this umbrella order of how they match, and they also had the astrology element. And then they took me to a wedding of a tree. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So if you get your chart read and they say that like you're going to have a bad marriage, they'll make you do a fake marriage to a tree or something to be like, okay, that was a bad marriage.
Yeah.
Now we can have a good one.
Yeah. And
it's
then
crazy.
I met my husband's roommate in college was from Chennai. So when I arrived in Chennai, his whole family was just I was just like, oh my God, I felt like a celebrity. I don't know these people. So they were just airport, let's do this, let's do that. It was really great getting to know them. And, even the woman that I connected the most with, his cousin, she's telling me about, well, Saturn was this, so I had to wait until this specific day to get married to my husband. And I was just so taken aback because this is all a foreign language to me, let alone, the culture. But it also taught me that trip, and I want you to talk about this. Going to India taught me how much India is not a monolith. And I remember being in Chennai, and the people that were at this conference with me, they were from Calcutta, New Delhi, Mumbai. Is it New Delhi or Delhi? Delhi.
Both.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They were from Calcutta, Delhi, Mumbai, and they were experiencing culture shock in Chennai. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, and that's when I realized, oh, this is, and then you look at India on a map and you're like, oh, this is as big as Europe. So the cultural differences that I, as a Greek person, have with a Swedish person, then someone who's Tamil is going to have those differences with someone who's like, let's say Punjabi.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like, do you see, it's almost like you're doing like interracial dating without the race. Like it's I don't know how
inter-ethnic, absolutely.
Inter-subcontinent dating.
Yeah.
How does the matching work when, since you're the one that's focusing on South, like when a South Asian person comes to me, they're not asking for these things.
Right. So there's about 20-something official languages of India, but you can easily make that 1,000. There's a joke that like every 10 kilometers, like the religion changes, the language changes, the food changes, because it is such a huge, like 1.4 billion people shoved into something the size of Europe. So you see a lot of those regional differences. But I think there's so many tropes about it, and the fact that you said that Punjabis and Tamils were culture shock. There's movies, there's books written about how east, west, north, south, they're all very different. I think when it comes to what I do and my clients is, they grew up in America. They might know their mother tongue because their parents spoke it to them. But like myself, I don't read and write my language. I can't say more than like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, like the basics in my language. So for me, it was more so like, do we have those same values? Do we maybe like diet is a big thing as well. So there's a lot of vegetarian versus non-veg, things like that. But I think by the time they come to me, it's more so like we tried it our parents' way. I think now what's more important is that we vibe as a couple. We have the same future goals and values. And it would be great if they can talk to my parents in our native tongue, but it's not a must-have anymore.
I feel like your method, it also has a lot more in line with lifestyle. Like I feel like the auntie and the biodata method, I appreciate it. I think there's a really good stride to it, especially as it pertains to the personal values that your parents taught you at home and what they hope you would continue on. But I do think that sometimes it misses the element of lifestyle.
Yeah. I compare the biodata to like the first version of dating apps where it was just like your stats, how tall you are, what your occupation is, blah, blah, blah. And now add in Hinge where you actually have personality and quirkiness. So that's what we add into it. Like we bring this to life, the biodata to life.
So tell me then about South Asian love. What is the balance between honoring, your cultural traditions and adapting to the modern dating experience?
It's definitely a balance. I have to ask everybody where they're on the spectrum of being South Asian, being Indian versus American.
How Indian are you?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Literally, because everybody has a different relationship to it.
Imagine if I asked that in the office. Holy crap.
But honestly, I think it is valid.
I'm not supposed to. That's not my
Yeah.
Like, I think people are trying to access my community.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's really cool that you can do that.
Because people like me who were born and raised here are not as Indian as somebody who came over recently for grad school and now we're trying to assimilate. So, we grew up in very different cultures. And
are the people that are coming in right now more progressive?
Absolutely. It's shocking to me. India's a very young country. And so anytime I go back there, I'm just shocked at how modern and progressive they are. Whereas my version of India stuck in the 80s when my parents came over.
There's a word for this. Shoot, it's not coming to me anthropologically, but it's about how when an immigrant family comes into the diaspora, they are bringing that specific cultural subset of that moment in time.
Snapshot.
Yes, a snapshot. And it's fermented, right? So what you're talking about, I experienced this too. Like my parents came in the 80s, and in the 80s, Greece was a little bit more, let's say, conservative than what is now. Greece is still its own country, right? The people are, of course, autonomous and they evolve and they grow. And so when my dad goes back, because he doesn't watch pop culture the way I watch pop culture.
Yeah.
I think my dad now feels like, wow, this is a foreign country. I'm even using the different words because the words that you use are words that were cemented in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Is that when your parents came?
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, but the Hindi language has evolved since then, right? There's colloquial sayings that are being said.
Yeah.
And
you mentioned this in your book as well, which I really resonated with, is that when you went for college, and even that was a shock for you because you thought Greece was what your parents told you it was.
Right.
And then you experienced it firsthand. You're like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's called the time capsule effect. Yes, thank you. And that's what it is. So do you feel like then, so to go back to like, how Indian are you? Do you feel like the people that are coming in right now from the South Asian countries, can they date the people that were here? Because I actually just had this as an issue recently. I currently have a South Asian client. He grew up in Delhi, successful tech guy. I am struggling setting him up with women that are from the States. Like they're South Asian, but they're from the States because he's that much more progressive than them. And he would also like to date someone who's either white or South Asian, but has come from the same part of India. Mm-hmm. To have that match happen.
Yeah. I think it comes down to like how you were raised culturally. Did you watch the same shows? Did you listen to the same music? So if he's looking for somebody from his same region and in the same age, they probably grew up similarly. Right. And I've also noticed too that they're more open to Caucasian or white because they don't have the preconceived notions like my generation or me being born and raised here. We were always told that India's so conservative. They're so, catching up with the times. And so if that's the attitude I'm going to bring to dating, why would that man want to date an American-born person like me?
Yeah, it's almost easier for you to be the ambassador of India to a white person or a non-South Asian person.
Yeah.
Versus having to deal with like retired tropes.
Exactly.
And I love that. I love the nuance that you can provide on that. That's amazing. So to go back to, you're balancing the honoring the cultural traditions and advocating for modern dating relationships. What does anyone ever come to you that's not part of the South Asian community, but really wants to marry into it?
Absolutely. With the rise of Indian weddings in culture these days, I think everybody wants to be a part of that. They want to experience a little bit of that.
Which Indian wedding? The Ambani wedding? Or is this because like Bollywood is starting to infiltrate some of the Hollywood theaters? Like what's bringing in this new...
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that now, in every workplace, there's probably a few Indian people that work there. And if they're in a certain age group, they're probably getting married and inviting coworkers. And then
everyone wants to date an engineer.
No. But, like you said, with the Ambani wedding, like it was a spectacle and it was literally on the world news, like national news. So people got to see an insight of like 4 or 5 days and multiple parties and gorgeous outfits and clothes. We want to see that firsthand. Yeah. It's actually really funny. In India, you can pay to be a guest at a wedding as like a tourist attraction.
What?
Yes, because so many people want to experience this part of the culture.
How have I never heard about this? I've literally told my husband the next time we go to India, it's for a wedding. And I've told most of my South Asian clients, like, if you get married to me, please have your wedding in India. I'd really like to come.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay for it too. I'm not flying for free to India. And they're like, sure. And I'm like, well, why are you getting married in America? Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, this is not what we talked about.
And I think that might be taking it back to our question about cultural tradition and cultural roots and modern, dating.
Yeah.
Because they grew up here or assimilated here, their friends and network are here.
Yeah.
They don't want to get married back in India because they don't have anybody over there. It's hard to connect, Imagine trying to find a caterer 10,000 miles away.
I mean, I found a caterer 5,000 miles away, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up and go into our hotline questions, because yes, there will be hotline questions on this episode, what is one tradition that people don't always understand, but they think is really beautiful?
There's a controversial tradition of giving the bride away. And it's very much, it's said in our culture that a parent's responsibility or their privilege is to get their daughter married. It can be problematic. We've heard all the stories, this and that, but I think the essence of the tradition is really beautiful, and it's seen across cultures. I think that it gets villainized in Indian cultures that you're giving the daughter away, or she's like a commodity, but it happens in Christian culture as well. Yeah. The father gives the bride away. I think it just shows a respect and a place in society for women and mothers, that there's this component, there's this special place that we need to not take care, but we value them, and we're recognizing it through this ceremony. So I think sometimes it gets villainized, but I think it's such a beautiful tradition. And in my own wedding, I have an older aunt who didn't have children, and she wanted to fulfill this so badly that she sat with my parents and did all the ceremony, and my uncle and aunt also gave me away. That's how special it was for them.
I feel like I'm missing a cultural cue here. So you're going to have to explain to me, what do you mean by give away? Like, I'm thinking walking someone down the aisle. Is there a ceremony here that you're talking about? Yeah,
there's a ceremony. It involves welcoming the groom, doing some sort of pujas or ceremonies that's officially saying we bless her. And then there's an actual my dad put my hand in my husband's hand, that kind of actual giving away type of thing.
And then your aunt participated in that as well.
Yes.
That's really beautiful. And I understand that as well. I know sometimes we can get stuck in the nuance of why are things the way they are. But I also feel like at the end of the day, the next generation comes from women.
Yeah.
And to be revered means to be treated a little bit in that fragility aspect of, okay, now that you're being given to someone, this is the ritual of how we know that there's a potential new generation starting from this point on.
Yeah.
And I think what rituals are is what ties community together. So I think that's really cool. And I'm really happy that you brought that up as an example.
Yeah.
All right, Rada, are you ready to answer some questions from our listeners?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get that hotline open. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, I am calling in. My name is Lauren. I'm from Atlanta. I am in my mid-30s. And my question is just, so I've been a subscriber of Matchmaker Maria for a while, and I've been in this relationship now for about 6 months. And we did the 12 date rule, all of those good things. And, I really like him. And we got along really well, and I enjoy spending time with him, but I don't know that I feel this euphoric joy that I think people like to talk about when they're sort of earlier in relationships, and they'll look back and they'll, those are the honeymoon months, and I feel like there's a lot of good here, but I don't have those feelings. And I was away for a week recently, and everyone, did you miss him? And I was like, no, I mean, I was excited to see him when I got home, but no, there wasn't this intense, I miss you so much. Let me just hop off the plane and run to your house. And I'm just not sure if that's, a sign that I should be sort of, this just maybe isn't filling up my cup in the way that it fills other folks feel relationships fill their cups in the beginning, or, some of that might just be gloss that people like to put on their relationships in the beginning. And so I guess I would welcome any thoughts you all have on that.
I have so many follow-up questions before I give you my thoughts. Okay. Number one, do you feel like you love them?
I feel like I have a lot of love for them.
Okay.
But I don't know that I would necessarily, I have not told him I love him. And he
Okay.
hasn't told me he loves me.
Okay.
And I will say that I am, in general, a person who I'm not a heart on my sleeve type of person. I'm not a emotions driven person.
Okay.
So to me, that's not really surprising.
Let me ask you a second question then. Have you ever experienced this quote unquote euphoric feeling that you are describing with
I
anyone
don't think
else?
so. No.
Okay. So, Rod, I'd love your initial thoughts or your thoughts first, and let's see if we agree because I think there's a really good answer here.
Yeah, she keeps mentioning in the beginning, and I think 6 months is enough time to know whether
Yeah.
or not you're going to get that feeling. That's what I thought of initially.
Do you think that euphoric feeling she's talking about is something that's everyone's experience or something that is a good experience to have?
Especially since she hasn't had it before. Is she comparing it to things that she thinks she should be feeling based on what she's seen on TV and movies? I don't know. I think she might be expecting something that might not be realistic.
Right. Yes. And I think that's why I asked those specific thoughts because it's like, okay, it seems like you're close to falling in love with them and even that falling in, that's such a weird word. It seems like you respect each other and that you feel a certain kind of love for them. Let's talk about that euphoric feeling she's talking about though, because I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of couples don't go the distance.
Yeah.
I think we are taught, oh, the beginning is so exciting. And even like the example that she gave about coming home from a week away and she's like, I was looking forward to seeing him, but I didn't miss him. And it's like, well, why would you miss him?
I'd also be want to know kind of his part. Was he eager to pick her up from the airport and she was just like, nah, I'll take my own Uber? Like, is she not giving the same vibe back? Maybe he is putting in and he feels the euphoric, quote unquote. Maybe she's just missing something with that connection.
Maybe, but I also think that like this is overrated.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think you need to have to experience missing someone. I think when you're away from them to tell you like this is a good relationship, I think it's nice when you are back with that person and you're like, "Oh, I like experiencing life with you by my side." And I'm seeing this in a very like calm and temperamental, like this sort of temperament way because that is what partnership is. Can be quite boring, but
The
that's
day to
not a
day.
bad thing.
The day to day. You need to have that feeling of, hey, we work together, we fit together, which it sounds like she has. So why do
Right.
you need a spark all the time?
Right. And especially 6 months in, like you're not in the beginning. The beginning was 5 months and 2 weeks ago.
Right.
That's how long ago the beginning was. The honeymoon, those first 2 weeks where you're still going on those initial dates and learning about their favorite color and about their first dog named Marley, like
And like you always say, butterflies are not a good sign.
no. Like if anything, I'm almost thinking like, wow, this is a solid foundation to be on because I don't want you to be in a state of euphoric. I like the idea of you wanting to spend time with this person. So let me ask you, let's find out if this is a good relationship too, right?
Yeah.
Like if we're overthinking this one aspect, but like let's see what the rest, right? Because I don't want to overcompensate here. Do you admire them and do they admire you?
I think so. I think we're both mid 30s. So a little bit past our earliest dating experiences, I'll say. So I think we do admire each other. Um, I think that there's a lot of respect amongst us. And I think I'm at a point, I guess, and I think he is too, where you're not really expecting like the perfect person to walk through the door anymore, right? So I do admire a lot about him. I think I have a lot of respect for him. At 6 months, I think
This
there are
is your
things in the
boyfriend?
relationship that I'm, yes.
Okay. So I think Lauren, I feel like if you've never experienced this euphoria thing and maybe you're just not a euphoric person and that's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Sounds like everything else fits nicely.
Yeah. And you would know if you
Okay.
should break up right now. And it doesn't sound like
Yeah,
you
I
want
think I
to.
would. No, I don't. I think there's just, I also don't, I think what
I'm
you
going to
said makes
throw
a lot of
something
sense.
else out at you because I think I know what's actually happening. When you meet a good person, Right. Let's just
Yeah.
pretend her boyfriend's a good person. I don't know the man, but I'm going to assume he's a good person because she just told me she
Yeah.
admires him and she respects him. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a point where you have to sort of, usually between like month 4 and 6, where you have to kind of mourn your
Single
single
life.
life.
Yes.
Yes. So like, she might be coming into terms like, well, wow, he is my last first date kiss. He is my last.
Swipe.
Yes. And it's like, I thought there would have been more pomp and circumstance, like it would have been more of a parade
Yeah.
knowing this was the last one. And it's like, no, it's not. It's
That's the natural progression.
yeah.
And so maybe she's just coming off that dopamine of finding somebody new, dating for 2-3 months, finding somebody new, doing that again. And now there's no more new.
Yes. And I think that is what is happening right now. And you know what? I remember, I don't know if you ever went through that. I went through that with my husband.
yeah.
I remember month 4, I was like, what the hell? What is this? I love this person.
Right.
I want to be with this person, but I'm also sad right now. And it took me, I want to say like 10 days to get over it. I didn't express this to my partner. I talked to my mentor. I was like, is this normal? And I think that's what's happening right now.
Especially if your girlfriends are still dating and you're still kind of in that circle, you're like, wait, should I be doing that? Or should I be happy with my relationship?
Yeah. I think this is a good sign. I think you just have to give yourself a little bit of time to adjust that this is the person.
I think I'll think about that. I think that's a good thing for me to think about going forward.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much.
Great question, though.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker hotline. How can we help you?
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm 37. So I've had 20 plus years of dating experience.
Slay.
However, over the last about year and a half, I really took a step back from emotionally dating. I've been going on dates for fun and being very open about that with my dates, but probably in the last 6 months, with the help of your content, I've been a lot more open to getting into something that isn't quite so superficial and has more meaning and potential for a partnership. And really within the last few weeks, that has happened for the first time. I met somebody who is in this friend group of ours, which is uncommon for me. Usually I'm meeting somebody on the app or someone I don't really know. Maybe I'll have a friend introduce me to someone, but isn't like embedded in my social circle.
Okay.
So I'm having a lot of anxiety and my brain is really spinning around like all of the what ifs of like, oh, what if it works? What does this do to the friend group? What if this doesn't work? What does it do to the friend group? And I'm fairly new to this specific group, and it's a special group and it matters to me. And I don't want to just become this guy's girlfriend or get kicked out because I'm not his girlfriend. And I need my brain to calm down a little bit.
I'm going to need you to think about how your parents dated right now. Tell me how your parents dated. How did your parents meet? Even if they got divorced, I don't know what your parents' history is, but tell me how they met.
My parents are still together about over 40 years. They are true partners. They see each other as equals. They bring the same amount of value to the table, but they both had a part-time job bartending at the VFW.
Okay.
And that is how they met.
So they're within the same social circle.
Kind of. They met.
That's it. That's the same social circle. There's no kind of here, right? And that what you're currently participating in is literally how people have been meeting for the last 100 years. You're actually in the norm. What are your thoughts here, Rada? Because I've got more, but I want to get you in here. You see this. You see people at your events.
Yeah.
And they're technically, I mean, everybody knows each other in some of your events, right? Like
And
there's always like, I know her from her, or
And they'll
him.
come back, they'll meet each other, there'll be the same people coming back, they get to become friends. So that's their social circle, is coming out to our events. I think it's a slow burn. You've had time to evaluate him. You've had time to see him in many social situations, learn about him intimately, and that's why you're clicking with him.
And most likely your personal values are aligned if you're sharing the same social circle.
Yep.
Like I just have to say that right now we are winning. So now let's address her anxiety. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with the easiest one. What happens if it works?
Amazing.
Epic wedding party.
That's great. Everybody's going to get along on the dance floor all night.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a wedding where the bride and groom never intermingled their friends because they got married, let's say, so quickly.
Yeah.
And then everyone just kind of, I mean, I went to a wedding where I was meeting the bride at the wedding.
Whoa. Yeah.
And because they had just met like 5 months before. And I remember thinking like, okay, and I'm just meeting like all of their friends. And I'm like, the dancing isn't the same.
No, the vibe isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be a part of that party and be a part of that circle.
Yeah. So the anxiety here for, oh my gosh, what if it works out? Girl, you're going to, that finish line is the most epic of parties. And also, again, you have the privilege of knowing that, wow, we met through the same social circle. We already share probably in the same personal values and lifestyle. That means that our friends are integrated in a lot of the things that we do going forward.
Yeah.
There's only positive things coming out of this. Now, let's say it doesn't work out. It's a risk.
Yeah, it's a risk, but so is everything else in life.
Yeah.
And if this is worth it, dive in.
I feel like if it doesn't work out, then you just take it week by week or month by month until it sorts itself out. What will end up happening, of course, though, is if it doesn't work out, eventually he will meet someone that he will marry and you will meet someone that you will marry. And then anytime you have to encounter each other in a public setting, you'll just be like, oh yeah, that was the guy I went on a date with. Like, it's not crazy.
And the anxiety, I think she's probably spiraling. Like, what if we have a messy breakup or our friends have to choose sides? Why does it have to be negative?
Why does it have to be messy?
Yeah. It could just be, hey, we didn't get along. We dated for 6 months and we're still part of this epic social circle. And we still do the same things.
And if anything, that should actually keep both of them on their best behavior on how they
Treat each other.
approach conflict resolution and how they communicate with each other. And I think you need to be aware of they have to be aware of the stakes. I've been saying the word like a lot today. You could tell I've been away from the studio for a few weeks. Like. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I think what you just said, and I mean, come on, you're in your late 30s. Honestly, you just hit the jackpot of meeting someone through a friend group.
Everybody wants to meet organically
Holy
these days.
crap.
You did it.
You did
Congrats.
it. Like, congratulations on winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Oh, what happens if I have to pay a lot of taxes? All right. I think this is a good thing, and I would lean in.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Please.
So this is really new. We've only been on 2 dates.
Oh.
Yeah, and the amount of texts I've gotten from people who know us, this is not an over exaggeration. We're both very social people, obviously. We've run into more than 20 people that we know in the first 2 dates. And I have been inundated by texts from people who are now invested, who are rooting for us, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But now I feel like
honestly, you know what? Let me tell you something, because now you're reminding me of me today. Okay. I have a friend that I grew up with, and then I have a woman from our programs who came to Greece with me, and we became friends. And she came to, oh my God, that's such a good story. She came to one of my book events, and so did he. And because they were both there, and it just so happened that it was my daughter's birthday party that day, I was like, why don't you both come over my house? I mean, I was just inviting anyone I knew, like, oh, come over and have some cake. If I knew them, they were at this book event, they're coming with me. So they both came, and they were the both only single people there. But I've been dying to get these two people in the same room, but I also didn't want to set them up, because they're going to F it up.
Yeah.
It's
or
awkward.
There's too much anxiety.
Yeah. And, they kind of hit it off. They're talking, they're comfortable. They're not talking the whole time, whatever. But then they just started dating. So this is 3 months later, 3.5 months later, they've started dating. And I will tell you that this past week, just getting updates, this week in America, we are recording this episode on Friday, September 12th. It is the only thing that is giving me oxygen. And, I don't know what you think of what's been happening this past week, dear caller, but you going on first and second dates, you are literally oxygen to people. Let them be involved. Let them be invested. This is what they want. Give the people what they want. A love story. It is.
Yes.
There's no rom-coms coming out right now that I'm aware of. Do you?
No,
And
this
some of
is
them
beautiful.
are shitty that are coming out. So whatever.
No, this is beautiful. And I think that like, everybody can play matchmaker and let them be a part of your story. And, objectively, don't let them paper over the red flags or anything as you guys continue to get to know each other. But right now, you're right. We need this. We all need this.
We all need this. I want an update.
Yes.
I'm going to need you to send us an email or call us back in like a month and tell us what's going on.
We have our monthly friend group dinner party tonight.
Oh
so
my
it will
God.
it'll be the first time that we're out in front of this whole group.
Have you kissed?
Yeah.
It was.
I'm
Did
doing
you?
a 12-date rule.
I love it, but like you kissed.
Yeah.
And he wanted to kiss you more after.
Yeah.
I love this.
I swear, on Wednesday night, we made out in front of this little place. And as we're making out, my ex walked by, which I didn't even notice. Did
you
not
look hot?
Of course.
Of course you did. This is the only thing that's going to take me through the weekend.
Aw.
I'm going to just be replaying this story.
And she said she didn't even notice because you were so into this guy. That's wonderful. Like getting to know each other, like the world be
Where
damned.
do you live, by the way, that so many people like are in your business in like 1 week and your ex is walking by? Like, is one of you the mayor? Is this like a population 150 situation?
No, I'm in metro area St. Louis. So like 3 million.
Jesus.
Maybe it's the same like apartment complex area. I don't know.
Courtyard.
Melrose Place.
There you go. This is a really great question, and I wish you a ton of luck. And you have to send us an email and give us an update in a month. You have to.
Do we sit next to each other at this dinner?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Yes, I will call back in or give you an update through email.
Try to touch his thigh at some point. Like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Don't do anything. You let him touch you.
And sit next to each other, not across from each other.
Not across. You're sitting next to each other. That's your man.
Thank you so much.
The equivalent of like peeing on someone.
Yes, marking my territory.
Like, I'm marking my territory. This is it. This is it. No, I love it. I hope it works out. This is amazing. Good for you.
Thank you so much for your advice. I do feel better. This
Yay.
is calming me down.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. That was a great question. I am really impressed by this week's question. Rada, you have really helped kick off the hotlines for season 6.
It was so fun. And just to know that there's still love and people meeting each other out there, it's very inspirational.
Okay, so before we end this week's episode, I want you to tell our listeners or our viewers, in case you're watching on YouTube, hi, leave a comment, be nice. How can people learn more about what you do, the services that you provide, or follow you on Instagram?
Singledashadi.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, website. We're everywhere. We are the premier South Asian singles platform. So, whether we can help you through matchmaking, coming to our events, we do coaching. We're just here to be your friend through the process because we know it's hard out there and we just want you to help find your person.
I love that. That's great. Thank you so much, Rada, for joining me again on the pod. And thank you, dear listener/viewer, for joining us again this week. This was a great episode. I'm so happy to have Rada on. I'm so happy to have your questions. And if you want to ask a question and you can't make it to a live hotline, did you know that you can send a pre-recorded question? I'm going to include the link in the show notes, but even if you go to matchmakermaria.com and you click podcast, that is where you can leave your dating question or dating rant. I'll take it. You have 60 seconds. Put it all in there and we will play it in an upcoming episode. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, be lovable, but more importantly, be likable. See you next week.